Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Gary Talks. I know all of you know how Marvel basically runs the movie industry. Every time one of their movies comes out, or almost every time one of their movies comes out, it makes over $1 billion, but Marvel does really well in television as well. And they have a brand new show that just came out called Agatha All Along. So in honor of that new show, I'm going to rank my top 10 Marvel TV shows of all time. And I have a lot of special guests lined up. From Agatha All Along stars Joe Locke, Aubrey Plaza, and Patti LuPone, plus the head of streaming, TV, and animation at Marvel Studios, Brad Winderbaum. I know a lot of you, when you think of Marvel on TV, probably just think of the stuff that's on Disney Plus, or maybe the stuff that was on Netflix. But Marvel's history with television goes back much longer than that. In the beginning, the only Marvel that was on TV was in cartoon form. We had various cartoons that lasted a season or two, but it really wasn't until The Incredible Hulk came out and became a hit that we started getting more Marvel, with the short-lived Spider-Man TV series being my favorite when I was a kid. In the 80s, it was back to just animation, including Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which was another one that I loved. This continued into the 90s as we got more animated series, such as X-Men the Animated Series, but much like in movie form, it was Blade who brought interest back to a live-action TV series in 2006. Then, as the MCU debuted and changed film forever, Marvel created Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Peggy Carter, the first Marvel series that crossed over with the movies, until it was decided that maybe they didn't. Or maybe they did. Who knows? The multiverse, am I right? Once Marvel signed a deal with Netflix, we finally started to get some great TV shows, until Marvel kind of scrapped them all and started over on Disney. And this all leads us to Marvel's newest show on Netflix, Agatha All Along.
Confession, I know an egregious amount about you. Been obsessed since I first read up on your Salem days. That's why I saved you from the spell you were under. You're the only witch that's ever survived the Witch's Road.
Who are you?
I'm...
We are now joined by the man who plays the mysterious character known only as Teen in Agatha All Along, Joe Locke. Welcome to Gary Talks.
Hi.
So you play this character that everyone is already talking about. There are already fan theories all over the internet. People have guesses. I know I have a guess of who you really are. But what does it feel like as an actor to be playing a character that already everyone is talking about?
I mean, selfishly as an actor, it's always nice to play a character that people will talk about, whether that's bad or good. But one of the best things about Marvel is the fan theories and how engaged the fan base is. So it's nice to be a small part of that.
There have been stories in the past about actors in the MCU who have accidentally let things slip and given out spoilers. How careful do you have to be when you talk about this show to not reveal anything?
Yeah, I mean, definitely very careful. I think at the start of our press tour, it was way harder than it is now. I think I've gotten better at navigating and dodging the questions that I can't answer. But it's nice to keep the secrets, because I've been keeping these secrets for almost 2 years now. So it's like 3 more weeks and then I can talk about it. The 3 more weeks. And so it's like the home stretch.
Well, since you can't really talk about anything else, what did you have for breakfast today? I'm just kidding, but since we are talking about the MCU, what's it like to be part of what is one of the greatest franchises of all time?
It's an honor, I've always loved the MCU and loved being a fan of the MCU. So to now be a small part of the actual MCU is really, I'm very proud of it. I feel very honored to have been chosen for it.
It seems like there is so much mystery around this show, not just around your character, but everything, the plot, any detail. But judging from the first couple episodes and the trailer, my gut tells me this is Marvel meets Hocus Pocus. Would you agree with that?
I think that's I think it definitely has Hocus Pocus vibes. It's definitely a great spooky season show.
Well, hopefully this becomes one of those shows that people watch every single Halloween.
I would hope so.
Today I'm ranking my top 10 favorite Marvel TV shows, and I'll get to my favorite a little bit later on, but I just wanted to find out from you, other than Agatha All Along, what is your favorite Marvel series?
I mean, I loved WandaVision, but I think this biased me to say that because it's the same team as Agatha. But I thought WandaVision was so great in pushing boundaries as to what an MCU project was. Changing the idea of the superhero genre.
Well, people will have to keep watching to see if you and I agree, and I'll tell you off camera what my favorite is. Thank you so much for being on Gary Talks.
Thank you.
So let's get into my top 10 Marvel TV shows of all time, starting with number 10, Werewolf by Night. The MCU tried horror, and they were super successful. Werewolf by Night stands apart from the usual MCU fare with its tribute to classic horror. Directed by Michael Giacchino, it brings a stylish, black and white throwback to the monster movies of the 30s and 40s, creating a moody atmosphere that feels both nostalgic and unique within modern superhero storytelling. The story centers on Jack Russell, played by Gael Garcia Bernal, a mysterious monster hunter with a secret, navigating a deadly competition for a powerful relic. With standout performances and excellent effects, Werewolf by Night embraces its campy roots while delivering gripping suspense and some genuine scares. The creature designs and stylized violence give it a distinct tactile feel, setting it apart from CGI-heavy projects. And we got to see Man-Thing on TV, which was amazing. While listing a one-off special on my list of TV series might seem like a cheat, it was such a good show, it had to be mentioned. Marvel has a long history of animated shows, and for the most part, it's really hard for me to compare an animated show to a scripted show to a reality show because they're all so different. But my number 9 favorite Marvel show was animated, and it was so good, it had to make the list. And that's X-Men, the animated series. X-Men, the animated series, is a classic cartoon that holds up surprisingly well, despite its age. The show follows the adventures of the X-Men, a team of mutant superheroes led by Professor Charles Xavier, as they fight to protect a world that hates and fears them. The show does a great job of adapting the complex themes and relationships from the X-Men comics, while still being accessible to younger viewers. The show's exploration of prejudice and discrimination through the metaphor of mutant kind is still relevant today, and the characters are well-rounded and complex. And the show's serialized storytelling keeps you coming back for more. And one of the most interesting things about this show is that it is now continued on an all-new show called X-Men 97 that completely picks up where this one left off. Coming in at number 8, the guy in the comic books when I was a kid who went by Power Man, but on TV is just known as Luke Cage. The first on my list of the Netflix Marvel shows, but not the last, Luke Cage delivers a gritty, socially conscious story set in Harlem with a focus on race, power, and identity. Mike Colter shines as the unbreakable Luke Cage, portraying the character with a quiet, powerful presence as he navigates a world where he is both a hero and a target. The show really excels in its exploration of Harlem's culture. The first season's villain, Cornell Cottonmouth Stokes, played by the great Mahershala Ali, brings charisma and menace, making for a compelling adversary. Once his arc was done, the show never fully recovered as Diamondback was nowhere near as great of a villain. Luke Cage's superpower, the strength and invulnerability, takes a backseat to the social issues at play, making it more than just another superhero show. After seeing how Netflix's Marvel handled Luke Cage, I couldn't wait to see what they did with his partner, Iron Fist. But the less said about that series, the better. Everyone knows that basically Kevin Feige runs Marvel, but did you know there is a Kevin Feige of Marvel Television? His name is Brad Winderbaum, and I recently had a chance to talk to him. We are now joined by the head of streaming, television, and animation at Marvel Studios, and one of the executive producers of Agatha All Along. And my first question is, how did Agatha Harkness get her own series?
You know, Marvel has a great tradition of listening to the audience and seeing what characters resonate with the fandom. You can go back to the comic books and see characters like Wolverine, who appeared in Incredible Hulk, kind of lighting a fire within the fan base and growing and becoming an X-Man and a huge iconic character in his own right. And Agatha's no different. She is a side character. She was a villain in WandaVision, but Jack Schaefer's vision and the way Kathryn Hahn embodied that character on screen made her an undeniable icon that we wanted to see more of in her own series.
Well, you mentioned Jack Schaefer. What's it like working with her?
Jack Schaefer is one of the most remarkable filmmakers I've ever had the honor to work with. And when she becomes inspired by something, it inspires us. Her imagination is so vast and so incredible that her opening the door to us and letting us walk down that road with her was a real privilege. And her vision was so incredible for this character that we all became inspired and wanted to make the show.
This show is shrouded in so much mystery, and no one really seems to be able to talk about it. So how would you, or how can you, describe Agatha All Along?
I would describe Agatha All Along as a fun Halloween adventure story for anyone that loves the Halloween season and is a fan of action and brave enough to maybe get a little bit scared at times. But it's also a surprisingly emotional story like you expect from a Jack Schaefer show.
After watching the first couple episodes, I have to say that this is truly a phenomenal cast.
It's one of the greatest ensembles we've ever assembled in the MCU. These are the Avengers of witches. And this coven, the thing about the Witch's Road, which you learn over the course of the story, is that you can't just walk down the Witch's Road with any old coven. I mean, these are you have to be a well-trained, well-oiled machine where everybody can predict each other's movements like a SEAL Team 6, going down the Witch's Road. And that's not the case with this coven. They are assembled very quickly. They don't get along. They don't like each other. They don't know each other. They are not prepared at all for the challenges that await them. And that really brings about a lot of incredible drama and comedy along the journey.
Of course, I'm going to ask Patti LuPone about this later, but I have to talk about the Witch's Road song. How important was this song to the show, and also how important was it to have a song like this after that Agatha All Along song was so popular in WandaVision?
The music is crucial to this series, and it's crucial not just because we were inspired by the Agatha All Along song from WandaVision, and we were so excited that the Lopez's came back to write a new song for us. But also the song itself is key to the journey of the story. It's a spell. It has a function. It has different meanings. It has different meanings for each character. And as the show unfurls and you learn the deeper messaging of this song in how it informs the story and informs these character journeys, it takes on a much deeper emotional resonance than just a theme song would.
That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for being on Gary Talks. And now back to my top 10. Coming in at number 7, Moon Knight. Maybe not as horror-themed as Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight delivers a thrilling psychological dive into the darker side of the Marvel Universe, setting itself apart with its unique tone and complex storytelling. Oscar Isaac shines in the dual, or is that triple, role of Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and other identities, seamlessly switching between personalities with an impressive range that anchors the series. The show blends Egyptian mythology with superhero action as Moon Knight battles ancient gods and ruthless villains. The visually stunning sequences, especially the Egyptian landscapes and mystical transformations, make it stand out in the MCU. While the narrative can feel disjointed at times due to its non-linear structure and shifting perspectives, Moon Knight keeps viewers engaged with its surreal storytelling, intense action, and emotional core. Next up is a show that, when I heard it was coming out, I thought for sure it would be my number one favorite Marvel show of all time. And while I really enjoyed it, it wasn't as good as it could have been. But it was still good enough to come in at number 6 on my list. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There are complaints that some of the Disney Marvel TV shows have no impact on the MCU, but that is certainly not the case with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as it delivers a grounded, action-packed continuation of the Captain America legacy while tackling timely social and political issues. The series follows Sam Wilson grappling with the responsibility of becoming the new Captain America, and Bucky Barnes struggling with his past as the Winter Soldier. Their banter and evolving friendship form the emotional core of the show, And we got the return of Baron Zemo, which was pretty damn awesome. However, the real strength of the show lies in Sam's reluctance to accept the mantle of Captain America, which adds an emotional weight. Though the pacing stumbles in parts, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier successfully blend superhero spectacle with thought-provoking commentary, making it one of Marvel's more socially relevant and character-driven stories that did not feel like we were being preached to. There's been an interview that came out recently where my next guest admits she knows nothing about the MCU. She's never seen a movie, she's only seen WandaVision, and she only watched that because she's in Agatha All Along. You gotta love when a person's been around so long, they just don't care and they're completely honest. That guest is Patti LuPone, and here's my conversation with her. We are now joined by Broadway legend Patti LuPone, who plays Lilia on Agatha All Along, and my first question is, what was it like acting on these sets? I mean, especially the Witch's Road. It was breathtaking.
The Witch's Road was so big we couldn't film at the studio where we were filming everything else, Trilith. We had to go to a different studio because it had a larger soundstage. I can only speak for myself. When I walked onto the set, I started to cry. It was stunning in its majesty. I mean, I don't even know how to describe this except it just elevated my acting because of the environment I was in and the artistry, the craftsmanship. And I understand that the production designer gave each of his crew a tree to design individually. And so we were constantly surprised as we walked the Witch's Road at what we were seeing. And I mean, the production value in this is extraordinary. Everybody was at the top of their game. And I was continually blown away by the visual that I'm now asked to act in, to live in. It just made me a better actor.
This show truly has a great cast. What was it like performing with this group?
You know, you never know how you're going to live with, communicate with, accept, whatever, actors when you meet them on a film set. This was so unique because we're all different. We all complement each other. It was very easy to act with everybody, extremely easy to act with everybody, individually or as if we had scenes, collective scenes, there was respect, enormous respect. And I hope that I have this kind of experience for what remains of my career, because this was a high mark. This was a very high mark.
And finally, I have to talk to you about that Witch's Road song in episode 2. It has been stuck in my head for days.
I had no idea that it was going to have a song in it. And then when I found out it was Bobby and Kristen Lopez, I was really excited because I've always wanted to sing one of their songs because I think they're geniuses. And then to be able to, at that point, I think we had been working for a while, the Coven. And so it was exciting just to get to sing with the girls and the guy that I had fallen in love with. So it was very exciting. It was very exciting.
It's been so great speaking with you. Thank you for being on Gary Talks. So many of these Marvel shows are from recent history, but not number 5. Number 5 was one of my favorites when I was a kid, and it still holds up today in a fun way. And that's The Incredible Hulk. By far the oldest TV show on my list, The Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby as Dr. David Banner and Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, is a classic that brought the Marvel character to mainstream popularity. Unlike the modern CGI-heavy superhero shows, this series focused more on character development and emotional depth, presenting Banner's struggle with his monstrous alter ego as a tragic curse. Bixby's portrayal of Banner is heartfelt, portraying a man constantly on the run, searching for a cure while trying to avoid harming others. The transformation sequences, while dated by today's standards, are still memorable for their intensity. The show's Lonely Man theme, punctuated by its melancholic piano score, highlights the sadness of Banner's existence, making the series more of a dramatic character study than your typical action-packed superhero story. Next up is what I believe is the best representation of the character from the comic books on the small screen, and that is The Punisher. Another of the Netflix Marvel shows, The Punisher is a brutally intense and emotionally charged series delivering a gritty, hard-hitting story of vengeance, justice, and trauma. John Barenthal's portrayal of Frank Castle captures Castle's relentless rage and inner torment as he seeks to avenge his family's death while grappling with his own violent nature. The show's action sequences are unflinchingly brutal, often pushing the limits of on-screen violence and superhero content. The Punisher also explores deeper issues like PTSD, the morality of vengeance, and the cost of war. While some story arcs can feel slow or drawn out, particularly in the second season, the show remains compelling due to the strong performances, gritty tone, and the complex character dynamics. The Punisher is a darker, more mature entry into the Marvel TV lineup, while offering a brutal yet thought-provoking exploration of violence and justice. For my next guest, you guys know her from Parks and Rec, Legion, lots of movies, she's all over the place, and currently she's playing a mysterious witch in Agatha All Along. I had a chance to have a quick chat with Aubrey Plaza. Take a look. So it seems like nobody can really tell me anything about this show, anything about their characters. No one can say anything. But what can you tell me about your character?
I without spoiling too much, I will say that my character is very powerful and mysterious and has almost like a shape-shifting quality where you kind of never know what version you're going to get. So I was really excited about the challenge of that and getting to kind of play a character that's playing by your own rules.
You have worked on a ton of different TV shows. I mean, especially, of course, I loved Parks and Rec, but what was the best thing about working on Agatha All Along?
I loved the practical elements of the show so much, and just the tangible quality of all the sets and all the kind of special effects. And yes, the set of the Witch's Road was kind of incredible. It made me feel like we were shooting The Wizard of Oz or something. Like I felt like, oh, this must have been what it felt like when they were shooting The Wizard of Oz, which I loved that.
Earlier I was talking to Patti LuPone, and she said that this was one of the greatest groups of actors she has ever worked with. Was that your experience?
I felt the same way. Everybody in the cast had such a genuine, just generosity and kind and good souls. Like I feel it's rare to have, such a big ensemble and have everyone, kind of show up egoless and ready to play and laugh. And so it was, it's sometimes that happens, and it's just, you have to appreciate it when it happens because it's really rare, like Patti said.
Well, that was my 3 minutes. Thank you so much for being on Gary Talks. And now we're into the top 3. Coming in at number 3 is Loki. Loki is one of Marvel's most imaginative and character-driven series, offering a thrilling exploration of time travel, multiverses, and self-discovery. Tom Hiddleston returns as the god of mischief, bringing his signature charm, wit, and vulnerability to the character as Loki faces a new, complex journey after escaping with the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame. The show's unique concept, Loki being arrested by the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, for breaking the timeline, leads to a mind-bending adventure through alternate realities. Owen Wilson's Mobius is a standout, offering a buddy cop dynamic, with Hiddleston that brings humor and emotional depth. The introduction of Sylvie, a Loki variant, adds layers to the story as their relationship forces Loki to confront his identity and the nature of free will. Plus, we also got to see the Loki alligator, as well as OG comic Loki, which was amazingly fun. Loki continued in Season 2 with the King storyline, and with everything that's transpired, that might very well have been the end of the King dynasty, and if that's the case, it was a fitting conclusion. Rumor is that we might not have seen the end of Loki yet, as he will at least return in Avengers Secret Wars. Next up is a character who not only was in his own Netflix series, as well as in the Netflix crossover series The Defenders, popped up in the Spider-Man movie, and now is going to be getting his own show on Disney+. Number 2, Daredevil. The best of all the Netflix Marvel shows, Daredevil is a dark, gripping series that set the bar high for superhero storytelling. Charlie Cox delivers a standout performance as Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer by day and masked vigilante by night. The show's tone is gritty and grounded, with intense, well-choreographed fight scenes that highlight Daredevil's human limitations, especially the now iconic hallway fight sequences. Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal of Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, is equally impressive, making Fisk a complex, sympathetic villain with immense presence and menace. Daredevil excels in its exploration of morality, faith, and the consequences of being a vigilante, delving into Matt's Catholic guilt and the physical and emotional toll his double life takes on him. The show's pacing is tight, and with its sharp writing and stellar supporting cast, Daredevil stands out as one of the best live-action adaptations of a superhero, offering a compelling, brutal, and character-driven story that sets it apart from the broader MCU. And now for my favorite Marvel TV show of all time, Joe Locke and I did agree, it's WandaVision. Could there be another number one for me, a superhero show that also shows love to classic TV sitcoms? It's like this one was made for me. The show stars Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, reprising their roles as Wanda Maximoff and Vision, delivering standout performances that explore the emotional depths of grief, love, and loss. The series kicks off with a surreal sitcom-style format moving through different eras of television, from 1950s black and white comedies to modern-day sitcoms, while slowly revealing the darker, more tragic reality beneath Wanda's idealized suburban life. This creative structure is a storytelling risk that pays off huge, drawing viewers into a mystery that unravels with each episode. Katherine Hahn's Agatha Harkness is a scene stealer, adding both humor and menace as the show's main antagonist. Though some might find the shift from sitcom to superhero action in the final episodes jarring, I loved it, and as of right now, WandaVision remains the best Marvel TV show ever made. And that's all the time we have for this week. Be sure and join me next week as I rank all the Transformers movies, and I've got a lot of special guests lined up, including Chris Hemsworth, Keegan-Michael Key, Scarlett Johansson, and Brian Tyree Henry. See you guys next week.
From capes to tapes, Gary's on the case. He's breaking down each scene, every place. On Gary Talks, he's quick with his peculiar wits. From plot twists to the comic strips, Gary's flipping sick.